What is up, YouTubes? How we doing? We are here to talk about Zendikar Rising spoilers, and I didn't make a video yesterday because I wanted to sleep on some of the stuff that was spoiled and really to see how I feel about it, not just overly react to it. So I think there's a lot to be excited for in this set, some to get down on a little bit or be a little cautious about, but yeah, let's just jump right into it because I finally got all these Patreon letters done. If you're a patron, hey, you're probably having something coming for you in the mail. Thank you again for supporting the channel, and you should check out my Patreon page as well if you want to help support this kind of content. Now, what are we doing? I'm talking about spoilers. That's what I was talking about. These are the cards I'm probably the most excited about, are these flip lands. I love the idea of, you know, drawing that first initial hand and seeing what land are in there and not having to worry about if I have all my colors. Like, this makes life easier. Now, granted, I kind of put them in par with, oh my goodness, I put them on par with, I want to say shock lands. Because you can't fetch for these, but you don't have to take damage, which makes them potentially more playable untapped, where you don't have to worry about that as much. You know, there's pros and cons to each, but I think generally these are very clever implementations of giving the same card access to 2-color mana, at least at some point, right? Once you play it, you only have access to 1. But when you're deciding, do I keep this hand? Do I put this on the bottom? Whatever, you know it can provide one of the colors that you really need for whatever else is going on in your hand or on the board. So yeah, like the clever implementation of this. What I'm more cautious about and kind of like really hesitant on are these spell/mana cards, because thankfully they come into play tapped, because if they didn't, we would no longer play basic lands, because why would you not just play a land that also doubles as a spell in case you're flooding out, you get some value from it. So I'm really hesitant to see if Wizards curb the power of these cards to make up for the consistency that's added by them potentially adding mana or coming into play as a land. Like, that's a really hard thing to balance, and I can see this turning into something like Companion, where the really good ones are ubiquitous, they're everywhere, and we either have to ban them because they've kind of homogenized formats, or they're just not really good enough to play anywhere. And that's, yeah, like, I'm just hesitant. It's quite the precedent to set that a land and a spell are in the same card at this frequency. Time will tell how effective it is, how dominant it is, how much they're played. I expect these flip lands to be played, definitely. Whether they'll stick around in it and the drawbacks of not being fetchable or not being basic or something, you know, we'll see if that ends up being significant. But the spell land combo is the one I'm definitely curious how it all plays out. How does it really impact deck building strategies, drafting, all that crazy stuff? This is the buy box promo, although it's not the buy box promo version. This is the, like, you can open this version. The other art is the buy box promo, but extended border, so there's like 3 versions of the buy box promo. Very cool. Moving on. Next thing. What do we have? Kicker. I love Kicker because it reminds me of the Invasion days, which was, you know, that's when I got into Magic. So there's some nostalgia with Kicker. I like Kicker from a limited perspective because it makes that card scale into the late game, gives you more flexibility, play lines. I just like having more decisions. Kicker brings that in. And then it also, or this set, Zendikar, having this party mechanic, I think is fantastic. I love D&D. I wish I could play more D&D. And the idea that you now get benefits or are motivated to build a party in your deck, that's fantastic. That is home run for Zendikar Rising. Well done, Wizards. We also see that Landfall is coming back. Landfall is rather strong, at least if I remember. I didn't play back when Landfall was first introduced into the world of Magic. From a limited perspective, it seems like a pretty strong thing. Like, this 1-drop becomes a 2/3 essentially every turn. I should say at least a 2/3, assuming there's something like Evolving Wilds or fetch lands, whatever. This card is going to make those kind of cards even better and really allow aggro decks to probably have a strong showing. Obviously, it's only 2 days of spoilers, so we don't know what the format's going to be. Is it going to be as aggressive as M21? I hope not, but we shall see. Now we're moving on to Drana, which I'm very excited about because this is definitely going into Edgar, assuming I can pull one. Drana is fantastic. Her, like, Liberator of Malakir, right? I think that was her first version, or at least the version that I currently have in Edgar. This is just, you know, another version of her. A 4/4 flyer for 5 mana that then gets you a creature back every time it attacks. That's kind of bonkers. That is going to be some fun. EDH shenanigans are happening. Anyway, we see more lands flip in, all that fun stuff. The party, the landfall. I think the last thing to really talk about for these spoilers, day 2, that I've seen thus far is Ashaya, which I really like the development of Ashaya. This picture's awful, but that's all right. We just haven't had the official card art spoiled, but this started off right as like a token that a Nissa Planeswalker created, and now it's evolved, it's grown in the game to being its own mythic rare creature. Like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So great development. Too bad that the Magic story has kind of fallen off the rails rather hard, because I love the lore, I love the flavor of the game. I want to see that resurrected, as it were, get the Soul of the Wild put back into it. I hope I open one, but if my opponent plays it, I'm going to be thinking I need to deal with that thing ASAP, because that thing produces a ton of value. Now we got some more kickers cards, more of the good old, Party Matters cards. I'm really, really excited about building a party in a deck and playing Magic. That just seems so cool to me. I'm really curious to see how strong these spell/land cards feel. And this is kind of giving us a spoiler of the blue-red archetype, again, being spells matter, I reckon. I love that Taunting Elf is back, in a sense, as Taunting Arbor Mage. So, hey, you get to kick it, and then it's like it kicked the other creatures in the shin, and now they have to take something out. Fun times there. Moving on, we got more flip stuff, and we get to see a new Nissa Planeswalker, and I gotta say, I love the art of this card. Love the extended border one. Even the normal one, actually, I could argue, looks better than the extended border one, just because it's cleaner looking. Either way, I love the look of this Planeswalker. Nissa of Shadowed Boughs. It has a landfall effect too. Like, that's very on flavor. Big fan of that, and it doesn't feel overpowered. The +1 can be definitely strong. Gets you, essentially ramps you an extra land, and then you get to create a 3/3 Menace haste land. That's new. And then the -5 could be crazy, but it's not overpowered. Not crazy overpowered. Although you could play this on turn 5, where you go, use my 4 land, drop my landfall trigger, -5er, bring my biggest thing back. Life's good. You probably don't want to do that with her, though. My guess is you want to keep her around and make her super strong. But anyway, big fan of Nissa, the new Nissa. Moving on. Xerath San the Trickster seems stupid strong, because it has flash, right? So you're obviously going to play it on your opponent's end step or as a nice blocker. And then all of a sudden, when this deals combat damage to a player, you may put target permanent card from their graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Target permanent card. That is not too shabby. And you can pay 4 to return an unblocked attacking rogue you control. Put this from your hand into the battlefield tapped and attacking. So it's like Ninjutsu, but for rogues. This card just seems all kinds of good, and you got to be on your toes. If your opponent's playing blue, black, and they play this card, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Because one, they probably use their removal to get rid of your best creature. And then they bring this thing in to bring it back under their control, and now you've got a world of hurt on your hands. I'm definitely going to play this card in a commander deck as well. Moving on. Here's our buy box promo. Aura, Skyclave, Hierophante. None of those. Skyclave, Hierophant, it's a 3/3 lifelink, and when it or another cleric you control dies, you get to start bouncing ones with lesser converted mana cost from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's just a value machine. I'm curious what we can do with it in Commander, but I like this art more. I'm glad they gave the better art to the buy box promo version. Not too shabby there. Now we get to move on to the full art lands. I think these look pretty sweet, and I didn't play during the original Zendikar one, so I'm more than happy to pick these ones up. And I could also argue that these are perfect, because they kind of go along with the Amonkhet Hour of Devastation full art lands, where they showed, like, here it is, and now it's kind of degraded into this state. I think, in general, I'm a rather big fan. And, like, this one looks fantastic. Like, I remember the original one with the cups of water was probably the most desired one. This one, to me, looks pretty sweet. Big fan of this. I love this Twister Plains one. I like all the swamp ones. But if these are in every pack too, that's going to be pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Then we move on to Omnath, which is, I love the fact that we've seen a creature go from mono green to green red to green red blue, and now to green red blue white. So is this going to be the first creature that goes to 5 colors? I don't know how it couldn't be that. And the fact that we finally get another 4-color elemental, or I guess a 4-color legendary, is awesome. It also shows, like, how difficult it is to make 4-color cards. Like, this landfall thing I thought was a joke when I first read it. If it's the first time, do this. Second, do this. Third time, do that. That all seems really hard to keep track of, unless you're just doing it bang, bang, bang. I'm not so sure how it's going to be playing out when you're with your friend who plays their land, and then, oh yeah, I have to remember I have to like Evolving Wilds. Oh, did I play my second land? I don't know what's happening. Let's just pretend everything takes 4. Move along. I don't know, but Omnath, glad to see him also evolving with the story. Get to see his lore expanding. I don't know how that's gonna go, but we shall find out. Lotus Cobra, a reprint that I'm happy to see because I own 0 of these and could definitely use a couple for my commander decks. Time will tell on how many I actually pull of them, though. Yeah, and then we get to see the new Jace and the new Nahiri, which, if you watch the new trailer, it did not make me a bigger fan of Nahiri, that's for sure. It definitely has me curious, like, what's really going on Zendikar as stuff is rising? And then Jace creating copies of himself, drawing cards. This doesn't feel like that good of a card, but I'm curious to see how we can make it better. How are people going to be able to abuse this card or really take advantage of its unique Jace things, which are creating tokens and drawing cards and doing crazy stuff? Time will tell. As someone who loves equipment, it's hard for me to not like Nahiri, though, because she helps you do stuff with the equipment. And, of course, we have more to see. We haven't really seen much equipment revealed in the set yet. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, though, I'm really excited about what Zendikar's bringing. Some new stuff, some new approaches to cards, creating parties, like bringing some more D&D into Magic. I think that's a fantastic move. I think the biggest bummer I have has more to do with the buy a box toppers and the expedition lands. Now, all I'm going to say on that, I'm not going to rant on this too long because I'm kind of wrapping this video up, but I love the golden ticket feeling of Magic, and it's grating on me that everything that comes with a premium version or gives you the opportunity to open premium cards now comes with a premium price tag. The thing I loved about Masterpieces is that you could open up a $4 booster pack and you could get that golden ticket. You could find that just absolutely amazing card that came in like 1 in every 4 boxes or 6 boxes or whatever it was. I'm kind of bummed that's going away. Now the trade-off is every box now has a box topper that has a pretty fantastic land, or I'm assuming a pretty fantastic land in it. Pros and cons. You know, I can't say one way or the other that one's necessarily inherently just better or worse. I'm just bummed that the foil, really fancy, premium, best version is now in a $20+ booster pack. Pros and cons. Just pros and cons. There you go. How are y'all feeling about Zendikar right now? What has you the most excited? Are you cautious or kind of hesitant to see how stuff plays out? Love to hear your thoughts, but thank you so much for watching. We'll keep up with the spoilers, probably keep doing videos on these every day, every other day, but I really appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.